you have to pay attention to everyone's needs, and you have to do it. You have to do a great job for somebody to sort of notice you and want to interact with you, because, and even Steph was just saying that, like the interns here, as soon as you learn somebody's name in the studio, like when I was a staff engineer, as soon as I learned whoever was answering the phones, you know, they'd be gone. You know, as soon as I'd start to remember their name, they're gone. You know, it's just like at a certain point, it's just like, well, you know, I'm not really even going to talk to that person because it's just kind of a waste of time. So you have to sort of, at a certain point, you want to make the impression to them where, you know, like somebody on the staff, like, sees something in you, they want to kind of get to know you and want to have you around. I guess I'm making a long answer of this, but this is good for you guys because, you know, being an assistant engineer, you learn a lot from watching others, and there's things that you can go try on your own. I'm sure you've heard a lot of this before, but you know, as you progress, you know, it's just like, I got to a certain point maybe 10 years ago where I thought, you know, I am ready to produce records now. I'm getting, like, I've worked on records, that I've done things, you know, I know that I'm a good engineer, and I'm ready for the next step. And I started really kind of pushing for that. And, you know, the opportunities you're given when you're trying to prove yourself and you're trying to gain experience are not necessarily great opportunities, especially, like, you know, me, I wanted to be the person that I've been fortunate enough to become, and so I wanted to work on, you know, projects that counted. You know, I wanted to work for things that were on labels and they were going to be released, and you know, so you kind of go for those opportunities, and you kind of get small budgets, and they can be difficult situations, and you're still kind of learning. So I realized at a certain point that, well, here I am trying to spend all this time producing and get that thing going, and I was letting all of my engineering opportunities go away. And it's just like I was getting paid a lot more and working on better records as an engineer. And I realized, well, you know, it's like, as much as I want this, I have to be patient. You know, I have to be patient, and you know, you get to a certain point, and so like you record a great record, and somebody says, hey man, you know, we really liked your rough mixes. Would you take a shot at mixing some of this record? And then, you know, so you kind of get those opportunities. And then, you know, I was doing that, and then it's like, hey, would you produce some B-sides for us? It was like, you know, we've paid this guy a ton of money. We're kind of out of money, but we think you can do it. You want to do it? And you're like, yeah, I'll do it. You just have to be patient. And it's about people skills.
Oh yeah. Did those projects then that you were starting to work on that level bring you to Nashville, or did a certain project? I mean, why Nashville? You know?
You know, I came to visit some high school friends here that I grew up with that had ended up living here after going to school, and I met my wife.
Oh, okay.
So she was she was a mutual friend of theirs, and I met her, and so, you know.
Cool. All right.
And it's like a place that felt like home because I grew up in Virginia.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's good, close. That's what brought me here, my wife.
So, I mean, going back to the producing, and then like you said, you may have started doing some of that a little early, depending on what you were doing on engineering, but you're one of the few that kind of wears all the hats. And my question, I guess, is when do you give up some of the control? Like, I mean, do you ever hire anyone to do the mixing, and if, why or why not? Or tracking, why or why not? Mastering?
I would, no, I don't. I always hire someone to do the mastering, but if I don't like what they've done, and this has happened in the past, and I've spent the money, I'll do it myself. I can do it. It's not really that hard. I mean, it's just a different set of engineering skills. There's a lot of people that do it wrong, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of misinformation, and there's a lot of products that have been created that are, you know, they're like mastering solutions, like there's plugins or boxes, you know, like, you know, there are all kinds of things. I can't even think of what some of them are, but it's not really that hard. So, you know, yeah, I do it myself. I haven't recently been asked to record and produce a record that I haven't been asked to mix. I guess at some point I would like that to happen, and I'll be open to it.
Yeah.
But for me, because I do it all, nothing is really done until, you know, it's like the engineering and the producing is not done, is not finished until the mixing is done, because it's kind of like I'm doing it all, progressing it all together. I don't, yeah.
Yeah. So many questions, but I want to ask one more question about your background. You had said, I think in one interview that I read, that you actually did have some time doing some live mixing, and we have a lot of students in here that are interested in sound reinforcement and that kind of thing. Did that contribute to what you do now in the studio? Did that live experience help you?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a different, it's a different way of working with the same tools. I mean, you know, you're miking stuff up and it's about performance, but you're reinforcing an acoustic space. So the good thing that I learned about it, I mean, because I did live sound for years and years, and I was the production manager at clubs. I've been on tours, you know, around the world, and it teaches you to be fast and make decisions. It teaches you how to mix quickly, because a lot of times you're only going to get a line check, and you go on and you have to basically you get one song or two songs before it better sound good. You know, it's just like you get the vocal loud first, then you can make the kick drum, kind of hear the guitars, and you just kind of do all that stuff. Boom, boom, boom. It makes you quick. It's like, it's good training for rough mixing when you're making records. How to mic. You know, I've done things where when I was doing a lot of live sound in the early 90s, big band swing stuff was popular. Like bands like, I don't know, Big Bad Voodoo Daddies.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, I'd have like brass, and, you know, I've mixed like the Brian Setzer Orchestra. You know, you have like 40 people on stage. You learn how to mic things well and deal with loud monitors. So it's really good for, you know, like I was in this room recording earlier in the year. You know, I had the bass amp over there, Steph is sitting, and I had the drums here, and I, you know, was using some of these baffles, and I had guitars over there and the piano there. You know, and that was, you can get enough isolation. So things like that, it's good training for that. And
well, that makes sense, because when you listen to your records, they have that live kind of, everybody's grooving together kind of feel. So. Well,
I like, records that feel performed, and you know, when a show is magical, you know, I'm sure you guys have all felt that, been moved at a show or performance in a space. You know, there's a lot of really great lessons there. You know, it's very simple. It's not layered like a record, you know, so it's like creating that dimension in a record is really cool too.
That's good. I kind of want to start from the beginning of a project. Maybe we could go all the way through. I mean, if you want to pick a certain project out, or a conglomerate of your projects, if you have a certain working technique. But let's start with pre-production. And I mean, what are some of the, you're given a new artist, you know, it's the first time you're working with them. Are you the person with the band that decides, you know, the arrangements, the tempos? How long do you take for pre-production? Also, do you sit down with the artist to find a vision? Do you look for outside songs? Do you let them write the songs? All that good stuff. Could you speak to the pre-production a little bit?
Well, a lot of times, the majority of what I do is work with bands. So, you know, I'm not, although, you know, in the I've made my share of artist records where I've, you know, had to pick the musicians and sort of build a band around an artist. Pre-production is important, because you have to pick song choices, and you need to make sure that you have enough of an arrangement or enough of song that when you actually go to a studio that you're not still writing, or, you know, that the artist is not still writing. Pre-production really should be, for me, I don't like it to be too long, because I want to keep the spontaneity in the recording process.
So you don't demo everything out before?
No, not usually.
Yeah.
Not usually. At times I've, you know, at times it's been helpful to do that. Like the Cold War Kids record that I just made, we spent a month over at House of David, which I don't know if all of you know, but it's just across the alley. And that was we did that on purpose to finish the writing. They had like 30 or 40 song ideas, but they didn't have finished songs.